Hi everyone, you're watching JannaFX, and in this video I'm going to show you a little bit how to use EA, which I'm using for my trading. So you can get that EA through Patreon membership, and those of you who are already signed up, you received a downloadable link this week, and so you can of course install it and play with it, test it on demo account. And I want to show you how to do it if you are not familiar with it and want to know how to use it and install. So EA can be used on any broker, but it's only with platform MT4. So it's a standard EA for MT4, and the whole process of installing exactly the same as you would do it with usual EAs. So all you need to know if your broker allows you to use EAs, but it goes on MT4 and no problem. So you receive this link. So if you subscribe through Patreon, I will send you the link, and all you need to do is just click on it, and then depends what kind of Internet Explorer or whatever web browser you have. I have it on Internet Explorer. You see it shows open save, so you can just press save, okay, and then you are going to open folder, okay, where it's saved. Here we go. I'm using a WinRAR if you don't have it, so you just right click and you just press open with, and then you can just use easy Windows Explorer. Okay, so and that's it. This is what you're gonna have, and you can copy it, or you can just drag this into MT4 platform. So now how to do that? So you already have MT4. This is what your MT4 looks like, and you just go easy in files. Okay, you open, then you open data folder. Okay, so then you just open MQL4, then you open experts, and that's it. Before you drag the expert which you just downloaded, so this is our expert, and all you do, first of all, of course, you would need to close MT4. I'm not going to do it right now because I already installed it. So just you close it completely, okay, completely closing it. That's it. And then you have your folder open with experts, and then you just take JannaFXLineTrader and you just drag it inside the experts. Just like I said, you either copy it yourself or you just drag it. So when you've done it, now I'm going to close everything. That's what you would need to do. You close everything, and then you open MT4 again. So it's like restarted, right? And then you have your line trader here on the left side in expert advisors. So this is just a standard procedure. Then you drag that into any screen. So I have Euro USD right now, so you just drag it onto the time frame, and this is it. That's all how you do it. First of all, of course, check it out. In command, you need to have check allow live trading, allow DLL imports, allow import of external experts. So just you make sure you have these ticks, and then so now I can close it, okay, and we should have it on okay, let's do it again, right? And then you press OK, and here you have it. Okay, so that's your expert. Except here I have license here, it says, but you are going to have well, you're probably going to have an error here or something else. So you need to activate your version of EA, because without the activation code, it ain't going to work. So that's the important, because that's how programmer wanted to set it up. So you go into line expert, you double press on the face, whatever, and you go into inputs. So here now, these are your easy settings, okay, which you can choose. And well, you can't see all of it right now. I'm just going a little bit to see what you can see here. Okay, so and right to the bottom, all of this. So you can change the colors, but we're not going to use pretty much that part. You don't need to touch. Okay, so I'll just leave it as it is because it just colors, and we don't need that much. You can accept notify using this alerts, email, by push, but I'm not using it usually at all. So let's just go like this. I think you can see it now. our main settings we're going to play with. Okay, so this is, okay, that's how it looks like. Okay, so that's the main settings to use. Here in the receipt code, this is what you need to, when you download it, you send me a mail in Patreon privately and ask me for the receipt code, and I will give it to you. This is where you type wherever I will give it to you. Okay, so that's going to be your personal receipt code. So next, of course, before that, please read the instructions, because I might miss something and I will not tell you something, forget, and you would need to check instructions carefully, because they were written by programmer. So right now, you see, I'm using the actually EA, which is already been installed on my machine, and I have here a little bit different settings. Okay, you will have original default settings, which are pretty much for the system I'm using right now. But you would have to change it, because we will be doing it during the trading, depending on, of course, your size account, money management, lot size you want to choose, stop loss you're going to use, and of course the width of our channel, right? Because you know that my strategy goes with the channel. So, but you can change it all yourself and see what is going to work better for you. That's why I'm saying try to play it on demo account and do back test, and see, maybe you will come out with even better settings for it. So I just changed the settings. I think these are default settings you are already have when you download it. Maybe a little bit different, but let me just explain what the settings do. I actually have an old video also with good examples of explanation, because previously only had this part and this part, but not this new features, which that's what I was trying to test for all these days. That's why it took me so long, guys. I will also give you the link of the old video. You can see maybe I missed something and with these settings, and didn't explain you or forgotten to say something. Of course, if you have any questions, please ask, because I can't remember exactly every single feature to tell you about. So here's the first. You have a lot size, which you can change wherever you want. I'm using here 0.2 is the smallest one, because usually I like to split half positions. It will always split half, and so you can put wherever you want. 0.20, for example, if you want, or 0.10 or 0.6, or maybe one lot. All depends on the size of your account and money management. So next one is your take profit, is what you want to take. If we are having, like, let's say target wherever you want 10, 20, 30 pips full of 0.02, for example, then you put here a number without minus in front of it, you see. So minus in front would means it will split the lot size. Okay, it will split it in half, always in half. But 10 in here, the settings 10 means that after we are in trade, market moves 10 pips, it will split 0.02 in half. Okay, so it will close 10 pips position in half. If let's say, okay, we have 0.02, that means in 10 pips, instead of $2, right, we are going to walk away with $1. So, and the rest of it is going to stay in the trade. Okay, so that's what the half means. If we put just 10 without minus in front of it, that means in 10 pips, when the market moves in our direction, it will close all the positions. So it would be what, $2, okay, we would make. So I'm going to leave it as it is, because I like to have half positions usually closed. This is the stop loss, the original and first stop. This is my standard one, is pretty much for most of pairs 60, but it's going to be changing. That's why I'm always saying to you, it depends on the width of the channel. Usually the width of the channel no more than 20 pips, and that's why I have 60, because from the channel it's 20 pips up and 20 pips down, buy and sell pending orders. So plus the width of the channel, we have 60 pips distance. That's why I'm placing between them, and the stop loss 60. Okay, so if the channel is going to be, let's say, 15 pips, then I will change stop loss a little bit to 55, for example. If we have a channel wider, then the stop loss is going to be also wider. Okay, so you understand this when I'm giving you usual setup. Usual setup means 20 pips up, 20 pips down, pending orders, width of the channel 20, stop loss 60, and closing half positions at and 10 pips. So next, this is the a new feature which was built in. And so previously I had just this part where the market would always close in 10 pips, and the trailing stop would be also 10 pips behind the current price. Okay, so right now I have a new feature where I can change it. Okay, that's why I'm telling you, you can try and see which would work better for you, because you know when the market moves only 10 pips, this originally was very good with trading the news events. When the market moves fast, that's why 10 pips behind was working pretty well. So now market moves a bit slower, and the pullback can be more than 10 pips, and for example it could be 20 pips or maybe 30 pips, but that's what you can do. For example, here I have just 10, 10, 10, 5, like original, right, setup. So what does it mean? That means that after closing half positions, this is exactly what is going to be. We pretty much don't need to break even, but it sits here, so that means the stop loss after 10 pips, right? After we moved 10 pips, it will move from 60, it will move behind our current price 10 pips. So when you move 10 pips, right, we close half positions and move stop loss moved behind and break even, with pretty much right, and then it will be trailing stop also 10 pips, which is going to move every 5 in steps of every 5 pips. So every time market moves 5 pips, the stop loss behind moves 10 pips. So now 5 pips, stop loss moved behind it. So I hope you understand what it means. That's what I'm saying. Check this setting on the demo account so you can see how it works. Okay, so that's my original setup. So what you can do with now, for example, if you don't want to use, let's just talk about not using trailing stop loss, right? This 3 parts is all about the trailing stop. Let's say we just put it 0. That means you're not going to have your trailing stop, right? So you're just going to have to play with you want to take profit half positions, and do you want to move your stop after it moved wherever you want in break even, right? So for example, again, if we leave it as a 10, that means after the market closes half positions, your stop will move into 0, and that's it, and then it will continue on its own without trailing stop. So you can either decide you want to wait until it reaches your target, and then you just move stop yourself manually, and just wait just for reaching your target area. But you will secure that half positions at 10 pips, right? So let's say you decide still have close half position, let's say still at 10 pips, but you change in this, let's say move the stop to break even 20. What this would mean? That means the price moves in break even after the market, the pair moves 20 pips. That means first 10 pips it moves, closes your half positions, and then still has stop 60, and then it waits for another 10 pips to move before it moves from 60 to break even. So you are risking here that if the market will turn around, you can come out with a loss, okay, if it will go back and hit your stop loss because it didn't reach 20 pips to break even. Okay, so that's what it does with break even. Okay, so you just move your stop to any break even areas. You, for example, can put here 30 pips, but it's, for example, you want to have your target instead of -10, let's say you put 50, okay, and you want to secure again, and the market moves 30 pips first, and you move your original 60 into break even at 30. Okay, I don't usually use these setups because, like I'm saying, I like to close half positions and use a trailing stop. But that's I'm telling you about how you can walk out without using trailing stops. So that's what you really pretty much need to break use break even. Like I said, if you want to reach target and want to just move market price into break even, so you are decreasing the size of the original loss, you can use this area. So now let's say how I work with these settings of using trailing stop, right? So I'm going to not use break even, and I'm going to set up the trailing stop. So you saw it was with 10, 10, 10, right? So it's half positions and then moving to 10. But let's say, like I'm telling you, sometimes you might would want to use that half positions you made and increase a little bit of trailing stop, giving it a bit of space for the market to, for example, reverse, because you know 10 pips is not enough, and that's why you can be out of the trade very fast. So if you, for example, decided to use the half positions which you already made, so you know you close 10, and if the market goes back, for example, 10 at break even, you walk away with just that half position. But if it will move another 10 back, let's say another 10, right? So it's 20, then you're going to lose what you made, but you will walk away with 0. But at the same time, you might have, you'll give that space for the market to pull back a little bit and then come back and continue with more movement. So, and that means you can still stay in a trade and get a little bit more profit. So that's a new something to try with, so that's what you can do. So using the trail stop loss, let's say after 10 pips, because that's when we're going to have our half positions closed, right, at 10 pips. That means that the market from 60 pips stop move, instead of 10 to break even, we're going to put, for example, 20. So that's your trailing stop now is going to be 20 instead of 10. Okay, but at the same time, as I'm saying, you are a little bit given the space, a little bit briefing space for the market, but also you are going to risk now of that half pip what you made. You're going to use that. If the market will reverse, you'll just walk away with 0. And here the trailing stop, trailing step, again, you can just put whatever, like you want 2, you want 3, well, I'll put just, let's say, 5. So that's how you can a little bit, so you understand. And then afterwards, of course, the market will move every 20 pips instead of 10. In every 5 step, it will move, it will be behind the stop loss, behind the price in 20 pips. But moving every 5 steps. Okay, so I hope you understand what I'm trying to tell you. Like I'm saying, please read instructions, but you wanted me to make video. I will try maybe also to do it on the back test, but not in this video because this is going to be very long. Right now, I'm just trying to show you and tell you, giving you a little bit ideas of the trades. So once again, you understand the usual setting with my -10, right? We're going for 10, 10, 10, and 5. If you want a little bit, give the space, briefing space, and use trailing stop 20. So that's you can do and just place like this. Okay, so if you want to increase, of course, like let's say take profit not -10, you wanted to close half positions like in 20, then you can also increase again trailing stop or break even. Also, then you put 20, 20, 20, like -20, 20, 20, if you want to, right? So that's how you can do these things and change them. So, but I prefer still a little bit more with my usual setup to move the stop to break even. So, but like I'm saying again, it all depends on how big is your account. If you have a very small account, then maybe you would want just to have to use that -10 and then 10, and this also leaving as 10. So it's up to you. So now we're going, this is also a new feature. This is the recovery part. Okay, this is what I didn't have before, and I haven't fully tested it on real account yet. Okay, because I didn't have any losing trades. I tested it on demo account. Okay, so, and demo account worked out well, and on the real account I also had some trades with these settings, but I didn't have, for example, that setting, and I didn't have that setting, and only this, and they also worked out well. So what you have to do, you need to be really careful, because the recovery part of it will calculate and increase the lot size, okay, if you will have a loss. And That's why, well, I'll be doing some examples, you'll see, but right now let's just have a look. So this means minimum loss to recover. I'm placing default because you can place also for any loss. So what that default means, that it will only recover if you actually hit your main stop, the first original default stop we're going to place, and if it will hit, that's what it's going to do. Because if you're going to change, you know, like if you will not change it to break even something and you place any loss, so that means, like I'm saying, you can change the settings and put the stop loss a little bit more behind, and you can walk away with like not 60 pips loss, but maybe with 30 if you'll use break even also, right? So when market moves, you would want to maybe just move a stop behind it, but it still might hit minus 10 or 20, and if you put any loss, then the system will try to recover from that point. Okay, guys, so, but I usually like to use default because my original settings I'm using for the channel. So recovery attempts, obviously, how many times you want the system try to recover, you can change it, like let's say you can want it 10 times, like I'm saying, it depends on the size of the account, we'll just leave it as default. This is the lot size, how big you want it to go, like you see, if it's going to go like from the smaller lots, 0.2, it might go like 0.03, then it might go to 0.05, 0.8, 10, 1 lot, so that you need to think about the money management. Okay, guys, you can just leave it as it is, but if you will get in a bad trade and you'll have like, it can have this few attempts, okay, the lot size can grow. So here now we have recovery trade stop loss and recovery trade take profit in pips. So the take profit is what I'm trying to tell you, like the bigger you're going to have the take profit in here for recovery, the smaller, the bigger it is. We have 50 now, you can put 60 for example. The smaller lot size is going to be. The smaller this spot, if you put this, that means your recovery lot is going to be huge, because it would have to cover your original 60 pips loss, right? Plus what it does, the recovery, it covers the loss, plus it's trying to make your original profit, okay, in dollars. For example, if you're supposed to make $1, right, in here it will be recovering minus 60 pips, you make a loss, plus that $1 you were supposed to make. Also, if it's going to go into few days, it will calculate a swap if it's going to be negative swap. So that's why the smaller take profit recovery is going to increase very much lot size. I will show you a little bit how I come out with these setups, because as I was a little bit of testing. Of course, the smaller is going to be working better on a bigger account once again, of course, but remember about money management, also don't put big lots, but with the smaller one it has more chances to cover in first step. So, but I'm going to put 50, because if you don't have a big account, then you need to increase the distance. And obviously the stop loss for the recovery, it's going to be that stop loss for this attempt, right? So if it moves once hits your stop, it will move back and will try to increase the lot size again. So it's averaging, kind of like, you know, with a bit martingale in averaging, but it's using the same area we got originally in, which I will try to explain to you a little bit more in the chart. But this is what you do. And here, this is just a recovery factor, 0.25. It's just a little bit increasing of if it was supposed to make that a little bit of the profit. When it recovers, it adds a little bit extra of the original take profit. So instead of 1, it makes the 1 plus 0.25. So that's how the recovery works. The settings, so you can change all the settings and do anything you want. So next part is also goes with the usual setups for our trades. Okay, so let's just go into this one. This is markets offset and confirmation pips triggered offer orders. To be honest, I'm using both of them all the time the same, so that's what I'm telling you. 20. I think one of them, it's a market offset, is for the levels I'm using on the screen, and confirmation. One of them, I don't know, but I'm usually just read a bit more in instructions, because I've been using it for so many years. I'm just placing exactly the same, so I will not forget, and I'll make mistake and I put one and it will not trigger, or I put the other one, so I'll just keep them at the same, exactly the same numbers, okay, like 20, and depends if it's a gold, remember you need to eat 0, right? So it's like instead of 20, and all of them you need to increase extra 0. So to all of those pips you increasing. So but plus also you put spread, so you can put like gold could be like 300 pips, right? But for like pound yen, also pound euro pound, you also place all of this, not 20 but plus spread, so maybe like you put like 23 or 25, but like I'm saying, make sure you do it for both, just in case. I know, because I'm always messing with them, I'm forgetting which is which. I will explain to you what kind it's supposed to be, which is which, and okay, so I'm just leaving it. So yes, I think it's the triggered orders is for the levels. So this part is what we're using also. This is just an examples, and then you need to use this. It shows you year, month, day, hour, minutes, even seconds, right? It's the general time specific with seconds. Normal is without the seconds. Why it's seconds? Because in the old days, when the programmer created this, I was using, for example, a lot on the news events, and sometimes on the news events it was very important to go by seconds. Like I was, for example, placing it with, let's say, news release at 12:30, but I wanted to put, like, let's say 12:31 or 12:32 seconds, right? Because sometimes the first second, the market could move dramatically one another area, jump up, jump in, and then come back, and then after a few seconds it would go a bit smoother. Now it's changed, but the settings are still there. You can do it, but I'm not using this very often these days, guys. I don't, but it's still there. So this is pretty much is setups for the news events. So when I was looking for specific day, like we know on farm, for example, right? It was specific day, specific hour. And so, this is just example, so you can do it. So this is the timed and offset and no offset, and this is what is pretty much this timed pending order. So if you are using no offset, right, if you don't put any of this, for buy timed at and sell timed at, so if you put, like, let's say whatever year, month, day you want it, it will, let's say we do non-farm, right, 12:30, let's say like 2019, or it was this Friday, what was the 7th of June, 12:30, buy timed at that and sell, it will buy and sell at the same time at the current price, if you will not put the 20 pips, yeah, so it will just buy at the current price. That's how this setting works. So if you would have put, let's say, exactly the same, like for that non-farm we had, right, what again on the 7th, right, so we put like 2019, the 6th month, 7th, and then we put 12:30, but using the 20 pips, right, and sell stop the same. So that means at that day, at that time, it would have placed pending orders from the current price, but 20 pips above and 20 pips below. Okay, so that's exactly what it is for, and exactly the same for, say, buy limit and sell limit timed orders. And also very important when you're doing it, the timed orders here, right, with the days and hours, you need to put minutes, how many minutes you want it to run. Usually I was using it for like 15 minutes because that's what the news events usually happens. News release, and then I would wait for 15 minutes because sometimes it was some commentary after the news release, right? Right now you can see just 60 minutes, and you can obviously all change it. So like I'm saying, I do not use the settings very often these days because the market is a little bit different, and I don't risk it just placing it without watching the screen. Now I'm using more the channel, okay, looking still for the channel, and you can see the economical news events are not as strong as they used to be. More like political events now. That's why you can use the settings, but it's up to you. What else I was trying to do, for example, that's what you can play a little bit with the settings, for example, with these timed ones. you know, I was always also trying the specific hours to find, like before London and America. Right now, American session moves more market than European. So what you can try to test on some pairs, maybe some will work better, maybe actually will work or not. I tried to do some tests, and some months it was making the profits. If you, for example, go, we know the market like before America, let's say 12, usually we have good movements like around 12:30 GMT. I'm talking GMT, and from 12:30 we have good movements, and 1:30 good movements, and up to 2 o'clock, right? So that's why you can count like how many minutes you want to run. And let's say you put wherever. Obviously, I've also forgotten to tell you that if you will not put days, right, you just put hours and minutes, well, seconds to just hours and minutes, then every single day you will have the spending orders, okay? You will always have the spending orders every single day. So if you will not place, that's what I'm trying to tell you, maybe you can try it, and every single day to see placing the pending orders, buy and sell, let's say 20 pips above, 20 pips below the current price, right, on wherever any pairs. So you can try it. I tried a little bit, it worked out, but it needs a long time to test it. So so that could be just, I'm giving you an ideas, or maybe you can try how, and then you don't need to watch it. You see that the good thing about it, you just don't need to watch it, and it just will run automatically. So that's what I'm planning to do, some back tests, because like I'm saying, with all this new settings, with the trailing stops and everything, so we can all set up these different ways, and using it just time to orders every single day at specific hours, and maybe we will come out with a fully automated system, okay, kinda fully automated system. So that's, I'm just giving you ideas, you can play with it, guys. You see, there are many possibilities and options, and like I'm saying, nothing of this I would just will not touch anything. I tried to explain to you guys because it sounds like a bit complicated. It's more hard for me to explain because you see it's in English, it's not my native language, and it's really hard for me to do so. That's why, sorry guys if I made a mistake. Just read the instructions, they're much better, but that's what ideas I'm trying to give you. So now let's see, we have all of our setups, and now you can see that's the shows you, so you need to check your license definitely active for the month. I'm giving you for the whole month. You see, if you are joined with Patreon, they charge you for wherever you join, even the last week, it still will be full amount, and from the 1st of next month again the full amount, and then you go like normal, right, every month the same money. So okay, first month maybe you will pay a little bit more for those extra weeks, but you know, I think it's not going to break a bank too much for you guys. I'm going to give you EA, so even if you will not see my Patreon, if you will not renew, it will take you a little bit longer, so your monthly subscription for EA will continue, okay? So if you will sign up now, for example, okay, 9th June or 10th or 11th June, so your EA will last for a month, from 10th June to 10th of July, 11th June to 11th of July. So, but I suggest that you still sign up if you will like it, and of course, because you don't want to be on somewhere on the middle of your trade with the EA, and then suddenly your license will expire. It will expire in a month, guys. So that's why I really need to continue using it. It's not my rules, it's the rules of the programmer. He didn't want to give it away at all. As you can see, it's really working, and it's working well, and he didn't want to give it away at all to anyone. So I made him to do so. You know that I've been using it for years. I mean, he built this in the recovery system. I used to do it all manually, and well, that's what it is. So you see, well, it shows you leverage. So right now, this is the demo account I'm showing you, one of the and one of the broker initial lot size. You will see it will be showing to you, so you can use in the panel, for example, if you want to like color it and see it a little bit. I don't really need it much because, you know, okay, just to make sure, okay, I have take profit, for example, trailing, right? I have original stop loss here, market offset, it shows is definitely 20, confirmation pips triggered to definitely 20. It's pretty much when you are going to use this part. That's what we need yet to check if we placed all correctly. So we have on the panel level lines. if you click on it, you will have trend lines, right? So let's just play first with the level lines. You have buy, sell, stop, sell limit, buy limit, remove, and obviously grid is just previously I was using grid a lot. Now I'm just trying to keep it a little bit clear. So now let's say I want to place the level lines, right? We have buy, stop. Okay, so let's say we have our channel, looking into the channel. So, and that's what you're going to see now, guys. I will be trying to give you with the levels, but remember that I'm giving you an Asian session, right? Asian Pacific. You need to make sure that it's going to work and the market is going to sit in the channel before opening of European London session. Well, that's how I do it. Okay, you obviously can use it wherever you want and how you want it, but our stuffs are going to be like this. So you remember if it jumps out or down during it, and we are not using the channel. So here you go. You can see this gives you a little bit of the idea. This is 20 pips. Enter from that level. You see it shows you at that price. This is where you're going to have your order will be triggered at. So you see from here, now you don't need to calculate those 20 pips. It's 11364. So you will looking for buy 13. So we have okay, let's do like 20 pips original, right? So it's something around here, 136. Well, plus minus, right? You see 43. You can't really get exactly, so roughly somewhere like that. So that's where you're going to have your order triggered. You see it's very narrow I made, so in wide you can see where it is. So, and obviously 20 pips below that. Okay, so 20 pips below that level shows you also there 112.956. So we're going like 112.95. So it's around here somewhere. You see, that's how it does. So it's like plus a little bit of the little spread. So that's what we do, but also, like I'm saying, on the other pairs a little bit you can increase like 21, 22 pips, depends how big the spread can be. So let's say that's where we press. So if I will double click on it, you see it's closing. I mean, it's not closing, it's just now you can't move it, so you fixed it. Okay, so, and remember, that's what I'm saying. Usually I'm telling you, you really need to watch the screen and be before they open the market, and we are placing our orders just before the opening of European session in London. And so that means like during Asian session we don't want to go into the trades. And what is the good thing about it? If you can't watch it and you decided you want to go for the trade, you want to risk it, right? And you can just double click again, both of them, right? And then you can set up that we wanted to, you see, use horizontal line properties. And then you decided, let's say we have, let's say we're looking on the 10th of June into 11th, right? So we want on the 11th of June, before the market opens, before the sessions, European sessions, we don't want it to be active. We want it to start active before 5 o'clock in the morning sometimes, remember, right? So GMT, guys, you really, this is GMT, but you need to check the time in your chart, okay, your broker, because for me GMT, for you it can be different. So like I'm saying, let's say before 4 o'clock I don't want it to be active. I want it to trigger, I want it to start to be active after 4 o'clock, let's say from 4:30, right, in the morning. This is when I want my orders to be live. Okay, so you can see now I'm showing you only this one. So it tells you disable. Right now it's the bottom one shows you disable only for a few seconds, because sometimes in the old days I used to make mistakes, and I was just placing my level and then it was triggering straight away. And so that's why programmer made it a little bit disabled, so it's waiting time a little bit, because I would usually forgetting to turn it off before actually you are trying to place it. I would just have a switch on and placing it, and something happens and I forgot to put 20 pips and I'm into like profit into the trade I didn't want to be in. So that's why I need to be careful, and that's why he did that. So now you can see it shows you that I'm not going to be in the active during Asian session, and they only will start to look for the trade from 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning. The same you can do for this one. Okay, so that's a good feature if you are not, but you need to be really careful and like put it all in and check it on the screen, and like make sure what is your broker time. So, and here we go, for example, right? So both of them are not going to be triggered until that 4:30 in the morning. So that's how you do it if you want it to be. So obviously, if it will jump out or jump in and then come back in it, it will trigger it. If it will walk away, you are not going to be in a trade. Okay, so you can also like try this. Try to again on demo account first, see if it will work for you or not. Okay, so let's say so that's our setups. I'm not going to use this type of setups with the times because well, actually it depends if I will be trying to see the market or not before it opens in the morning, European London session. So now I'm going to show you the same you do with sell limit and buy limit, but in my strategy I don't use it much, the limit orders, but you can also use it for wherever you want to use it. Same, you can place the 20 pips, so from that it will go 20 pips, you like place it, so it will it also shows you, right, again 20 pips from that price, it will buy sell buy limit or sell limit if you place it, you see here, or you can remove the 20 pips triggered orders, and then it will do exactly, if it will move there and touch it, exactly will sell or buy. Okay, so that's the orders limit if you want. The removes, you can see I'm removing it with this button. So now let's look at what these trend lines mean. So trend lines I'm using for, let's just go in a bigger chart to see. Remember when I was giving you the pound yen, and we had, well, let's do example. No, I'm not going to move right now. Let's just do it here because I have too many levels there already. So when we were waiting for trend to break out, right? So this is your trend, for example, and we are waiting for that level to break out, and we don't know when it's going to happen. That's what you can use, like let's say sell stop. You see, this has come out like that, which you can also move. You see, and you can just take the bottom of it, right, and go like this. And then move like that. We're using, remember that what I do, I use the bottoms, right? All the bottoms we want it inside. So this is like a little wing, is dangerous usually. But for example, you see that's why that will be sitting in this and waiting for time to break out. So usually you would just wait. You have to place your sell. You don't want it anywhere in here, right? So it will wait until it goes into that to that level, and we'll be trying to break. So anywhere it goes, and it will break and will trigger the order, okay, which you can play with and see how it works and how it does the things. For example, so what is it good for? Like something like that. Yes, so that's what you could have placed, sell trend line, okay. Also, like I'm saying, you can use it for the bigger time frames for your strategy you're using. It's just useful. It's a little bit too low. Let's try a bit smaller once again. Okay, so I made it too long. Okay, it's a big time frame, 4 hours chart. So like this trade, yes, you know that, okay, it should like break at some point. That's quite useful for using in triangles. Also, here we go. You see, that's why you could place when it was somewhere around here, right? You're using the bottoms of it, and then it just waits and waits and then breaks out. So that's how you go into the trade. So for example, you see, I still prefer, like, go for a bit straighter lines, like there would have been like a channel for me, for example, here. But obviously you could have used you can use the trend lines in that respect. Sometimes it's not given the good channels. The horizontal is easy, but you can use it as a trend. And the same, like set up like 60 pips wherever, stop loss, and the same trailing, and take half positions and continue. So that's how it works. And obviously with the buy stop, also the same. You just move in it, and the same settings you can make it. Do it like don't trigger until a specific day, specific hour in before like the opening of the market. You see, like something like that, when you don't know if it's gonna break, like could break up, right? So that's the same kind of, pretty much the same of well, here's going to be quite a bit, it's 50 pips, because it's, you see, it's 4 hour chart. I'm just showing you as examples. So, but you see, if it's what I'm trying to tell you, and a lot of trend lines I was using, it's because the market, when it changes, we have trend lines we're using straight channels. So you also counting your stops. Like I'm saying, this is a bigger chart and not for like day trading, for example, but you can see if it's like 50 pips, remember, right? So then from 50 pips, you want your stop above it, right? So for example, if you're placing your sell a little bit down, like of course, then your stop is going to be higher. For example, if you come in here, you see how big it is. So like your stop would be 100 pips, okay? So I'm just giving you like a little bit of ideas and examples. When you are in trend channels, usually market can go up, can go down, touch the levels, and then break one way now finally. So that's how it kind of does. And just a little bit of explanation with the recovery. I will again try the back test to make you examples when it's moving, because right now the market is a little bit, the video is a little bit big. So let's just do it on the 4-hour chart once again. And so what I'm trying to show you is recovery, right? So you see if we placed our, let's say, usual orders. Okay, let's just trend. You obviously with trend lines, if you place horizontal, it's also would work. So you can do horizontal lines with them too. But it's probably easier to do it this way. So you see, for example, we place the orders. Buy stop, sell stop. Well, let's just say originally, right, we didn't have this. Let's say it happened like this, and you got into the bad trade, like let's say, right, you went to bad trade, and so that's what I'm trying to show you, tell you about the recovery, is that you got in a bad trade. That's what I'm saying. You have, like, let's say 20 pips. Well, it would be a little bit different here, but it's a big end, and that's what I'm saying, 60 pips, right? So this south stop, because sometimes it can go, come back into the channel and go continue, right? So break out, pull back, and continue the way. But let's say we got in the bed, it hit us at 60 pips. So, but what you do if you're using on this kind of with the CA, so if you triggered one order, you cancel the other order. Before I was using both because I didn't have a recovery system, right? So now with the recovery system, let's say we had sell triggered and we're removing the buy, right? So let's say we got into this bad trade and it's turned around. So that means after that 60 pips, our recovery, right, from here will buy with increased lot size, okay, and it will try to catch that movement and cover the loss plus make a bit of the profit originally which you wanted, take profit, right, with in dollars. So that's what I'm trying to say in recovery, why it works, because you notice the market move ups and down, and at one point it continue a good move. But that's what I'm trying to tell you, that you with recovery you can have a look for what size you want. That's what I'm saying. Look through, for example, the pairs and see how much it moves. When you get in a bad trade, for example, I'm like to see how far it was to the next level and expecting what kind of movement is going to be. Of course, if you got in a bad trade, so you see, usually from that 60 pips, right? So we will be in here somewhere. Let's say the market can move. You see, like here it moved like 150. So of course, if I put my 50 recovery in 50 pips, we come out with the profit and cover the loss. But you can see quite often it moves not as much before, and you can hit a few times. So that's why if you would look, it's about 30 pips, maybe. Okay, I placed the 50 pips right now, because 50 pips is not too bad to close that bad trade. But of course, if you will put like less, let's say from that, right, 30 pips, you have more chances to close. You see, because the small movements before the big one, you had it like about 36 pips here. It was, well, okay, 50 pips here, 50 pips here, depends we get. So like you can, if you have a big account, like I'm saying, you can put 30 pips, the recovery mode. You understand what I'm trying to tell you, right? The recovery mode is in here. Take profit. So you see, I put 50 because like just for the small accounts, maybe that would be better. You don't want to have a very big lot size, because if you put 30, it will be very big lot size, well, quite big lot size. Or the other option with recovery I was trying is the first to put like 30 pips and try if it will go against you and try to recover 30 pips, it will have better. But if it hits your stop again, then next time increase that, right? So instead of 30, like place then 50 or 60, because usually you have 1, 2, attempts, and okay, maybe one attempt on the second could be better attempt, it will finally move bigger, or on the third attempt, but all depends on your money management. So like I'm saying, you see afterwards you can increase a little bit the recovery mode, taking pips. So guys, I had so much information to give you. I hope I tried to cover everything on these settings. Maybe I haven't covered something, but I think pretty much I tried to give you everything what I could. So just have a look also at the old video, a bit of this one, and of course I will be giving you a little bit of the back tests through the week. Maybe I'll give you some more. You will see a little bit of how it works. Okay, how it works. I showed you already. You saw on the news events how I used it, and you saw how it's working. So that now I gave you this video with explanation. Of course, if you have questions, just make notes and write it to me and ask if there is something you didn't understand. But of course, like I'm saying, the best, just try to play on them account and on the history and see all the settings for yourself, see how it works, okay, and just try to trade it with them, and just go and whole week just use all this pairs you want to trade, not just the ones I give you, but just take all the pairs and just place buys, sells, and try to go into the bad trades and see how the recovery works, okay, increase, decrease the size of the recovery, take profit, and just see on all the space how it works, and just follow it, and you'll understand. Finally, you'll get very familiar with it, and you will understand how it works. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a nice and happy trading. We shall all of us get lots of profits. And if you like the video, of course, don't forget to subscribe. If you want to have it, you know where to find the patreon.com/JannaFX. And I see you all later. Bye, everyone.